the wife only exchanged a few words with her friend, which immediately displeased the prince. First, he found an excuse to send his wife away, then questioned his friend why he had smiled at his wife. This made the friend feel extremely confused. After all, he had never liked the prince's wife from the beginning to the end. But the paranoid prince refused to believe his friend's explanation and even ordered his subordinates to kill the friend. Unexpectedly, the next second, the prince saw his wife push his friend hard to the ground just for an egg. Only then did the prince dispel his misunderstanding and cancel the order he had just given to his subordinates. The reason why the prince cared so much about his wife traced back to the fate of his first half-life. It turned out that the prince had once been revered by thousands of people for his outstanding military achievements, but he was framed for treason by treacherous ministers and imprisoned by the emperor. There, he endured all kinds of tortures, which led to the disability of his legs. Although he was later rescued and fled to the countryside, he had to live incognito. To avoid suspicion, he even married a countrywoman. However, because the wife couldn't stand the prince only eating vegetables every day, she colluded with the coachman to poison the prince, but this was seen through by the prince at a glance. Just as the prince was about to kill his wife, the soul of a college student from the 21st century suddenly entered the wife's body. At first sight, she recognized that the prince was a character in the novel she had just read. She was about to explain, but the prince had already drawn his sword and stabbed at her. To survive, the woman had to shift all the crimes to the coachman. The prince also noticed that the wife in front of him was different from before. When he hesitated, the woman suddenly rushed out of the room, but met the approaching coachman on the way. Helpless, the woman had to lie that the prince was dead, and asked the coachman to pretend to chase her to take the opportunity to kill the prince's bodyguard. Unexpectedly, their plan was seen through by the bodyguard, and the coachman was subdued by the bodyguard in less than 5 seconds. To survive, the woman directly picked up a shovel nearby and killed the coachman. This act made the prince decide to spare the woman, but the woman knew that if she wanted to survive in this world, she must gain the prince's love. From then on, she stayed by the prince's side and took careful care of his daily life. Once, when the prince's old wounds flared up, the woman risked her life to break into the deep mountains to find medicinal herbs for him. Worried about her, the prince took his bodyguards to look for her. Unexpectedly, the woman not only brought back the medicinal herbs for him, but also brought the prince many fireflies. Looking at this romantic scene, the prince finally fell in love with this lovely woman.